I was reminded last night of one of my favorite accounts in the Bible. It's found in the book of Nehemiah. If you're familiar with that account in Scripture, you know that Nehemiah is tasked with rebuilding the wall around the city of Jerusalem. It's been broken down and destroyed, and ultimately the people of God have no identity as a result. People are kind of lost without this wall. The city has no boundaries, and it's hard to gain any momentum without this identity as a city and as a people. There's this really cool passage in chapter 4 of the book of Nehemiah where Nehemiah and those that are rebuilding the wall are experiencing some pretty significant obstacles. There were literally people that were trying to stop the process. People that were actively trying to cause this project to fail. And I love what Nehemiah says in chapter 4, verse 14. He says, "Then as I looked over the situation, I called together the nobles and the rest of the people, and I said to them, 'Don't be afraid of the enemy. Remember the Lord who is great and glorious, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes.'" And here's what I see in this passage that I don't want us to miss as we face the challenges and the obstacles in life. You and I are called to, as this verse says, to remember the Lord and remember that He is great and He is glorious. And we're called to remember that God is for us. We're called to remember that it's God who fights our battles. It's God who provides the wisdom and the knowledge of how to move forward. It's God who works through us to see His will accomplished. See, that's where I think a lot of us stop short. We miss the second half of that verse that we're called to fight for our sons and our brothers and our daughters and our wives and our homes. You and I are called to fight. Nehemiah doesn't challenge the people to just remember that God is great and glorious. He challenges them to remember that God is great and glorious as they are moving forward into battle. You and I are called to remember that God is great and glorious as we move forward with confidence. You and I are called to remember that God is great and glorious, and it's with that knowledge that we make decisions. You and I are called to remember that God is great and glorious, and it's with that fact in mind that we fight. Here's my prayer for us today. I pray that you would move like God is great and glorious. I pray that you would make decisions like God is great and glorious. I pray that you would fight for your brothers and your sisters and your sons and your daughters and your husbands and your wives